Guten Tag, I've got my hands on something German this week. Yes, I've got my hands on this thing. It is the Mercedes EQE SUV, and it's big and round and a little bit imposing, kind of like Germany. Now let's talk price and range. The entry-level version will set you back $140,000. For that, you get 539 Ks per charge, but there are two other flavors available, but let's all talk about that in a second. Right now, let's get this thing on the road. But first, let's talk interior design because, as you can see, it's pretty busy in here. There's a lot going on, starting with this 12.8-inch central display here that controls everything. Then, of course, we've got a 12.3-inch instrument cluster in here, great definition, grows great in bright sunlight as well. Of course, I also have a heads-up display in front of me that's not only minimalist but looks very cool, easy to read, and of course you've got interior lighting. You can change the ambient lighting as well. Personally, I like it in potato brown. This particular example also has the 15-speaker Burmester sound system, which there's no other word to describe it. The sound that pours out of the speakers is delicious. It's just brilliant. Now let's talk boot space though. This has a 520-litre capacity boot, which is more than big enough for a pasty elderly potato enthusiast to curl up in. But if you want to drop the rear seats down, suddenly you have 176 centimeters of length between the rear of the front seats and of course the boot lip, which means that you can lie all the way down there. You can take your Mercedes EQE camping. It's fantastic. As for the rear seat, it is cavernous. Look how much room there is back there. I'm 5'10", and there's still heaps of room for my legs, and even though the back of the car sort of slopes down a bit, it's got that sweeping roof line, there's still a good couple of inches above my head, so plenty of room in the back for fairly tall toddlers. Speaking of which, the rear seat has two ISOFIX points for kids' seats, and it is a cavernous 136 centimeters wide. As for front seat comfort, well, it's a Mercedes. Of course you expect it to be comfortable, and it is. Both front seats are completely electronically adjustable. It's got seated heats in both the seats in front, and of course they're ventilated as an option. Also, they're completely coated in Nappa leather, made from the finest Nappas, or nappies, either one. However, as for seat height, because it's 78 centimeters and it has that running board on the side of the car, it's easy to get into, but getting out of it, there's no easy way to do it with style. You're always going to look like you're conquering Everest as soon as you slide out of this car. This particular model I've got today also has the AMG interior pack, so it's got things like cool floor mats, it's got stronger lateral support on the seats, and of course the steering wheel has more options, there's a lot more buttons to choose from. Plus, like me, it has a very flat bottom. But when it comes to interior gadgetry, the coolest thing, the piece of resistance of the Mercedes EQE, is what Mercedes call the Hyperscreen, and I've had to use some B-roll footage from the Mercedes media gallery for this because as far as I can tell, there aren't very many in the country with the Hyperscreen. But what it is basically is a series of 3 screens hidden under a glass panel on the dashboard seamlessly, and it just creates the ultimate Star Trek experience. If you can afford to get that, get the Hyperscreen. Look how cool it is! Also, it's not just a way that the driver and the passenger can adjust stuff, it's actually using artificial intelligence to determine what sort of things you want to control, what menus come up, determined by how your driving style is, or if you're stuck behind a combustion vehicle, or maybe an endless Auckland red light, thank you. And on the subject of gadgets, well, this has one-pedal driving, and it's completely adjustable, and it also has an intelligent option. So just by using the flappy paddles on the steering wheel, you can increase to strong recuperation. Oh, that is brilliant. Or take it off completely, no recuperation, and it'll just coast. I'm going to put it on to strong recuperation because look at this, the car's stopping by itself. All that electricity that would have been wasted in brake heat and noise and brake dust and friction, it's turned into electrical energy, it's going back into the battery. It's fantastic. More gadgets though, the EQE also has the option of a thing called Distronic, which sounds like a Beastie Boys album, but basically it takes care of all your city driving on the motorway at city speeds. It does all your braking and acceleration for you. It's absolutely brilliant. There's also the parking package you can get with this car, which basically gives you 360-degree bird's eye camera view, makes parking this thing a piece of cake because it is a very big vehicle, despite how it looks from the outside. It's a chonker. And of course, with the parking package, you get the self-park option, which that will never cease to amaze me, how a vehicle uses cameras and computers to take the hard part out of parking. However, let us address what I consider the elephant in the room. Let us talk about exterior styling. And while I'm not a designologist, I'm not sure I'm sold on the exterior styling of this vehicle. It just looks a little bit rounded for a Mercedes. It's not what I remember when I think of Mercedes. I think of defined, precise. This one's kind of like a big computer mouse, maybe like a Model Y after it's been parked next to a heater. It's very rounded, very blobby, very bold, I'm sure there's people out there that love it. I'm not quite sure that's me, but then that's the thing about looks. They're subjective, so my opinion is worthless. Now, the designer was Maya Markova, and I tried to find some interviews with this designer to figure out what was their inspiration. I wanted to ask them questions like, where did you get the idea for these design cues? And what made you think of that bonnet? And questions like, what on earth were you thinking? But I guess we'll just never know. That being said, there are some things I do like about the exterior design, like that front grille, for example. See how it's got all of those little Mercedes symbols exploding outwards from the main Mercedes badge. It's kind of like my lunch last time I went on the Inter-Islander. And of course, you've also got the digital lights, which are brilliant. And how they work is they project the light like a LCD projector, and it can change the shape of the beam as not to blind oncoming traffic on dark country roads. Absolutely fantastic. Another exterior option you get as standard is the big panoramic glass roof above me, which is excellent. Lets a lot of light into this otherwise very dark interior. As for wheels, well, the car comes with 21-inch wheels as standard, but don't worry, of course, you can easily upgrade to the 22-inch wheels if you want. Now this is cool as well. I've stopped at some traffic lights and it's got traffic light view, so I don't have to keep looking up. I can be playing around with things and look at the traffic lights on the little screen here. Wait for them to go green. But one last party piece this car can get as an optional extra is four-wheel steering. And I love that four-wheel steering is slowly starting to make a comeback. It is just the coolest thing ever. I've had it in cars in the past, and it just makes parking so much easier, doing U-turns in tight little city streets so much easier. But most of all, the main reason why you would buy four-wheel steering is because it's a cool function to show off to your friends. Let's get on the motorway now, and this gives me a chance to slip it into comfort mode. There are driving modes I can adjust by pressing this button down here on the bottom of the dashboard. You've got eco mode, of course, you've got comfort mode, sport mode, and of course you've got individual mode as well. There's also an off-road mode, which obviously I'm not going to use right now, but I'm going to slip it into comfort mode. Should make this thing an absolute treat to drive, and I'm also going to turn on the adaptive cruise and lane keeping assist. I'm quite curious to see how this is, because I've been driving a lot more affordable cars lately, and their adaptive cruise has always been a little bit Let's give this one a go. Just press set. Okay, it's set to the current speed. Let me increase the maximum speed to 100. All right, now this is the part that's like a toilet in a dream. Do I trust it? Well, I know we were going in a straight line, so it's pretty easy, but oh, this is such a nice change. Some of the cars that are more on the affordable level, which I do love, like the BYD and the MG and things, their lane keeping assist is built to a price point and it shows. This is just wonderful. Oh, it's so sure-footed. Oh, it feels like there's a person driving. Oh, I love this. This is magic. Yeah, look at that. It's not wallowing around the lane. It's not hugging one side. It's sure-footed. Oh, I love it. Now, while we're settling in for a nice cruise down south on the southern motorway, let me talk about the three big different models you can get in the Mercedes EQE SUV. There is the base model, which is the Mercedes EQE 300 SUV. And basically it is rear-wheel drive. It costs 140 grand. It'll do 539 Ks per charge. It's got 180 kilowatts of rear-wheel motor power. And with its 89 kilowatt-hour battery pack, the 0 to 100 time is 7.3 seconds. However, if you want to go the next level up, there's this one. This one I'm driving now is the mid-range one. This is the EQE SUV 354 Matic. Okay, it's getting long, but basically this is sort of like the same car. It's got the same size wheels, it's got the same battery pack, it's got a little bit more power, however, and because it's got that 4MATIC, it's all-wheel drive. So it'll deliver that power a bit more evenly, a bit more intelligently, and the 0 to 100 time is 1 second faster. But there is a third option for those who have just won the lottery or just like to leave cars in their dust. It's basically $200,000. It has a little less range because it's hauling a lot more tech, but it has all-wheel drive. It has ridiculously powerful motors on the front and the rear. Look at the torque specs, it's insane. And of course, the 0 to 100 time is 3.7 seconds. This is supercar speeds in what is a family off-roader. It's just ridiculous. You can't do that with combustion. Electric's just better. As for charging speed, however, you have options. This car has a maximum DC charging speed of 170 kilowatts, which is good, but not epic. And what that means is that you're looking at about a 30-minute wait time on a hyper-rapid charger like one of these to get from 20% to 80% full. But let's be honest, most Kiwis, about 85% of all electric car drivers in New Zealand charge at home. A lot of them use 7 kilowatt wall-mounted chargers like this one I have in my own garage. It's a good charger, and it means that you can unlock the full potential of of your car. It means that you can drive in empty at the end of the day, and by the morning your car is filled up to 100%, and it costs about $16, $17 if you are using the EcoSaver plan from Ecotricity, which is the plan I use. It's basically the same as an upsized Big Mac combo from McDonald's. However, with the Ecotricity electricity that feeds your car, unlike the Big Mac combo, it's good for you. Yes, Ecotricity is New Zealand's only certified climate positive, I should add, electricity provider. That means that by joining Ecotricity, you are helping to turn back the clock on climate change. Now, I know what you're thinking, that sounds too good to be true. It's not. In fact, it's actually certified by Toitū as being legit. It's real. So why wouldn't you join Ecotricity today? Save some money, get some green cred, help turn back the clock on climate change. The power's in your hands, and it's just a couple of mouse clicks away. Ecotricity.co.nz. But now, let's get to the countryside, throw this big SUV into some corners. Well, we've found some corners and some rain. That's a reminder to take it easy, because this car is worth more than me. Now, I should point out, this is a car designed to whoosh you along to your meeting, not to chuck into corners like a racing machine. That being said, with the sport mode on, the acceleration's relatively punchy. Oh, and I love that noise generator that's built into it. Yes, I know it's fake, but it still sounds really good. This does have a very low center of gravity, which gives it a kind of sure-footedness, coupled with the massive tires strapped to its underside. It makes it feel fairly nimble, although it does have a little bit of wallow. This is incomparable to, for example, the Tesla Model Y Performance, which I've chucked through these corners not so long ago. That thing, well, it's like a slot car, and you pay the price. You'll be going to your chiropractor weekly after driving that thing. This, however, this is a much more comfortable vehicle, but yeah, it does have some lateral movement, but because of its low center of gravity and massive tires and intelligent suspension and 4MATIC transmission, it's still a lot of fun. Although those massive pillars do get in the way when you've got a blind corner there. Oh gosh, this has been fun. I guess I should probably wrap this video up with a summary, but first I just want to say thank you to Jason, who owns this car, for letting me put it through its paces. It's been a real pleasure to drive. It's just such a comfortable machine. But right now, let us wrap things up with the Spudscore. Starting with performance, and I'm giving it 6 out of 10 Spuds. It's quick for its size, though for 150 grand it could be quicker. Handling is next, and it gets 6 potatoes for sticking to the road and cornering well despite its 2.5-ton mass. Comfort is where it shines, however, getting 9 potatoes out of 10 for gliding effortlessly over New Zealand's often low-quality road surfaces. Nice work, Mercedes. But what about efficiency? Well, 7 out of 10, because despite its permanent post-holiday wait and my enthusiastic driving, it offers surprisingly good efficiency, making it one dirt-cheap SUV to run. It even comes with a heat pump as standard. Gadgetry's next, and I'm giving it 8 out of 10 Spuds because it's got it all, from self-parking to the Hyperscreen, the Burmester sound system, 4-wheel steering. There are dozens of optional extras, but almost every single one comes at an extra cost, so be warned. Value is next, and I'm giving it 3 out of 10, simply because it's outshined in the tech department by much more affordable EVs, but then it is a Mercedes-Benz. Charging speed is next, and I'm giving it 7 Spuds. 170 kilowatts DC is good, very good in fact, but it's not Audi e-tron GT good. Style is next, and I feel guilty about this because it's subjective, but I'm giving it 5 out of 10. A good but neutral score because some folks love it and others, well, they have eyes. Is it fit for purpose though? Well, as a luxury family SUV, yep, it's great for family road trips or for business. It can even tow up to 1.8 tons of braked trailer behind it. Not bad. And lastly, it gets 8 out of 10 potatoes in the all-important PSC metric with its deep pockets holding no fewer than 73 potatoes, which gives the Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV a total Spud score of 65, which is a very decent score. And there you have it. The Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV is a refined luxury cruiser. I've felt quite good driving it. It puts you in a better mental place than you would in, say, a Corolla, for example. It just makes you feel like you're worth more. It makes you feel a bit posh. And let's be honest, it's kind of one of the reasons you buy a Mercedes-Benz.